All right, welcome back to the show. I'm joined now for some one-on-one by Fox soccer analyst Alexi Lalas. Alexi, everybody's heard Hope Solo's comments. We lose on penalty kicks to Sweden. She calls them cowards. What's your reaction?
I disagree with Hope Solo. I will fight to the day I die for her right to express her opinion. We need more athletes that do express opinions, whether we agree with them or not. In this instance, not only do I disagree with the content of what she said, but also the way that which she said it. You mentioned the word coward. That's a loaded word, especially in sports, and to do it at the Olympics. And the Olympics are even different than the World Cup. For example, if she had said it at the World Cup, it would have been one thing. But the Olympics, where the entire country, regardless if you like soccer or any sport, comes together in this type of climate that we're in, the political climate, all that kind of stuff, to say that and to have it representative of her and therefore her team and to a certain extent America, that's where she ran into trouble using that specific word.
And look, when you're the dominant team, like our U.S. women are, how does she expect them to play? Does she expect them to just go up and down the field with us? What are they supposed to do?
Exactly. And that's the other side, the content of what she's talking about. I didn't think that Sweden parked the bus, but guess what, Hope Solo? You are the goalkeeper for the best team in the world, the number one team in the world, the defending World Cup champions, a team that is a perennial power, that has more resources, depth, time, energy, attention put to it than any other national team, women's national team out there. You are going to come up against teams that are going to defend. You are going to come up against teams that are going to challenge you in the way that you play and frustrate you. It happens to Barcelona. It happened to Spain in their incredible run, but you didn't hear those players calling the opposition and the inferior opposition cowards. This is what happens in soccer. It was the right thing to do from Sweden's perspective. They had no obligation to open themselves up. That, to a certain extent, would be sacrificing themselves, and they don't need to do that for Hope Solo or anybody else.
Isn't this the way the U.S. men play sometimes when they play elite competition?
Absolutely, and we don't. We are not called cowards by teams that are better than us when we go and do it. As a matter of fact, I can even find some beauty in the way that they go about doing this. What concerns me is not just that Hope Solo said this, but the reaction of her teammates. Because why is this U.S. women's national team that we hold up and put up on a pedestal, why are they letting Hope Solo consistently define who they are as a team and drive the narrative? Where is the Carly Lloyd, the captain? Where is Alex Morgan? Where is Megan Rapinoe standing up and saying, while she may be our friend and she may be our teammate, we disagree with the way that she is portraying us and the way that she has hijacked this conversation so that it's all about Hope Solo. It's not about the fact that this team was a failure and this team went through a disaster in finishing in the quarterfinals of the Olympics.
The IOC has said they're not going to take any action about her comments. Should the U.S. soccer program take action against Hope Solo for this kind of embarrassment?
Why would they do that now? They have enabled Hope Solo over the years, consistently giving her the benefit of the doubt. And that's the thing. At this point, I think she's run out of the benefit of the doubt. But they have enabled her to continue to play in the things that she has done and said on and off the field. Why would they do anything to change that right now? And it's amazing. And you've seen sports and watched sports and played sports. You know that athletes and coaches and administrators will do incredible things when you are very, very good. And they will forgive all sorts of things in order to have somebody that's good on the field. Hope Solo, you can say whatever you want about it, in my estimation, is the best women's goalkeeper ever to play the game. And I think she's in the conversation for the best American international ever to play the game, whether it's male or female.
So I've made the analogy that she's Draymond Green, the basketball player that's a headache for the Golden State Warriors, in my opinion, cost them the NBA title. A lot of talent means you put up with a lot of BS.
Yep.
So coaches always say, talent this way, BS this way. Has she reached a tipping point where there's so much BS that maybe they should consider walking away from Hope Solo?
I think this is the moment when even if they had won the gold medal, I think this is the moment when you start to say, okay, we're going to move away from Hope Solo. If it wasn't Hope Solo, maybe you would hang around, but this is a perfect breaking point right now. And as you said, it is amazing that these players, and it occurred to me, because they haven't been very vocal about either saying something against it, either they agree with what she's saying and what she's doing, which I don't necessarily think is the case, or they're scared to death of Hope Solo, which certainly could be the case. Or you know what? They're just apathetic about it, and they really don't care anymore. This is Hope Solo, and we deal with her, and we really don't care anymore because ultimately we want her in goal because she's going to save the ball.
All right, so let me ask you to speculate a little bit, or maybe you know. What is her teammates' perception of her? Is it just strictly she's talented, but she's a jerk? Or do some of them actually like her and they just, why are you doing this? Or what? Or if you don't know, as a teammate, if this was one of your teammates doing this, what would your perception be?
I'd pin him on the wall. I would pin him on the wall and say, because of the things that you're doing, and I respect that you can have an opinion, you can do all these different things, and guess what? I do want you on the field because you saved the ball. But guess what? The things that you are doing right now are reflecting poorly on me and reflecting poorly on this team. And you're doing a disservice and you're being disrespectful, not just to the current generation of players, but to that other generation of players. When you're talking about the Julie Foudys and the Mia Hamms and the Michelle Akers and these types of Christine Lillies, all of these great players that have come before that deserve you to continue to build what they started many, many years ago, and that you have been able to stand on in terms of their shoulders. And I would pin her, whether it's a teammate of mine, I would say no, that's not going to happen. And if you continue to do it, fine. But I would be out there screaming from the rooftops, no, I disagree with what my teammate, and maybe they're friends, that's fine, but you can disagree with what a friend says, and you can say, I disagree with what they're saying. This is not reflective of who we are individually, nor as a team, nor as a soccer-playing nation. And how dare you try to take it over consistently and have that the only thing that people are talking about right now.
We've seen the young lady in swimming, Lily King, call out Justin Gatlin for steroids. So this wouldn't be an unprecedented action for one of her teammates or someone on that U.S. team to say enough is enough. I want to zero back in on Hope in terms of, is there a double standard at play? She's had domestic violence problems. She's been in the news for legal troubles. Now her behavior off the field. If she were a man, would we be less tolerant of her actions?
No, I don't think so, necessarily. I think that she has been given the benefit of the doubt because she's a great goalkeeper, not necessarily because she's a male or a female, just as a great goalkeeper. And this is the highest level. And this is a team, as we mentioned, that has won for years. The reason why there is all this consternation is because they're so good. And because they didn't live up to those expectations. We look at our women's national team the way that Brazil looks at their men's national team. You have got to win. And when you don't win, especially when you go out in the quarterfinals, it's a failure. But I don't think that if Hope Solo was a man, that we would be treating her any differently. As a matter of fact, I think there would be even more focus. And look, I don't think that, as I said before, I love the fact that I live in a world where Hope Solo is there and that she has at least the courage. Whether I agree with her or not, as I said before, is irrelevant, but that she has the courage to be more than just an athlete and say these things, and yes, they are provocative at times, and yes, they are at times divisive in terms of the things that she says, but that she has the courage to go out there. But words have impact. And words can do things to people. And you have to deal with the consequences of your words. As you know, you've been in this business a long time. And the things that you say do matter. And you will be called to account. And you will be held accountable for the things that you say. And you have to defend them. And I'm sure that she'll defend them right now. But I wish there was another side in terms of a player standing up and saying, no, this is not what we are about.
I want to walk back my comments, and we'll end on this note, a little bit about a double standard, because I started thinking it through as you were talking. Greg Hardy, Ray Rice, these NFL players that get shredded for domestic violence issues, they're not as effective, they're not as dominant in their sport as Hope Solo is in hers. If Greg Hardy or Ray Rice were still the best at their profession, they'd probably still be involved with professional football. So I can't say it's the right thing, but I see why we tolerate Hope Solo.
But within this context, if, for example, Carly Lloyd had said, we lost to a bunch of cowards. Carly Lloyd has been put up on a pedestal. I mean, she's got incredible endorsements. She was the golden woman after last summer's World Cup, as she should be. An incredible player in terms of what she did. But if she had said that, yes, she would have come in for criticism. But because it's Hope Solo, there is additional. That's why I say she's lost the opportunity to be given the benefit of the doubt. When you constantly are doing things either on and off the field, which I have no problem with, you certainly have the ability to do that, recognize that there are repercussions and they may come down upon you. And the avalanche that we have seen over the last couple of days that has come out on Hope Solo should be absolutely no surprise to anybody, including Hope Solo.
Thank you, Alexi.